Good afternoon and welcome to ICE webinars. Today we are joined by Francis Vonder Haar, VP and GM in Imaging at PartsSource. Francis brings over 30 years of leadership experience in the medical equipment healthcare industry. ICE webinars would like to thank our sponsor, PartsSource. With the mission of ensuring healthcare is always on, PartsSource empowers owners and operators of mission-critical equipment to maximize clinical availability and patient throughput while achieving sustainable savings and efficiencies. PartsSource connects more than 5,000 hospitals and 15,000 clinical sites with more than 10,000 suppliers, enabling access to parts, services, and training through the leading technology platform for managing mission-critical healthcare equipment. The PartsSource enterprise software platform, PartsSource Pro, enables 1,600 leading hospitals across the country to solve a shared set of challenges and maximize asset uptime, reduce costs, and increase procurement efficiency related to equipment maintenance. So for more information, please visit partsource.com. Now, just a quick reminder to save the date for our 2025 ICE Expo, which will take place at the Rosen Plaza Hotel in Orlando, Florida, next February from the 22nd to the 24th. The Imaging Conference and Expo is the only conference dedicated to imaging directors, radiology administrators, and imaging engineers. Now, ICE offers valuable CE credits from the ASRT and ACI and is a unique community of key decision makers and influential imaging professionals. So for more details about that, please visit attendice.com. Okay, today's webinar is eligible for one ARRT Category A CE credit by the HRA, and you can obtain your CE certificate by completing the post-webinar survey. Now, the survey will be emailed 1 hour after the completion of today's webinar, and you must complete the survey to receive your 1 CE credit. You'll be able to download your certificate directly from your computer once the survey is submitted. And if you have any questions, you can reach us at webinar@mdpublishing.com. We'll be wrapping up today's presentation with a live Q&A, so please submit your questions anytime using the questions feature on the webinar dashboard. Let's kick off today's webinar by giving away one of our ICE gym bags to the attendee that can tell me the answer to the following trivia question. July is National Blueberry Month. Which state is the largest producer of blueberries? Answer now using the questions feature on your dashboard, and I'll reveal the answer at the end of the webinar. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Francis is our presenter today, and he will be discussing transforming diagnostic imaging, trends, challenges, and solutions. So Francis, you may begin whenever you're ready.
All right, well, thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. And thank you all for coming to learn a little bit about the topic today. And we're really anxious to share with you some of the developments and trends that we see through our research in the marketplace. And then really most importantly, we'd love to get your questions, get your thoughts at the end. So be sure to keep track of those and don't be shy at the end of the pitch that we have going here. So thanks again. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Our topics today are going to be talking about today's emerging trends that we see in the diagnostic imaging sector. It's always evolving. It's super exciting. Breaking down the challenges and barriers to service and innovative solutions to your greatest challenges. Now that the guy on the right there, that's me. I'm Francis Vonder Haar, and I've been with PartsSource now for about 1.5 years. And the topic that I chose today, and the one that we really wanted to share, we're super excited about. I've been doing diagnostic imaging, manufacturing, and services for about 35 years, going back to General Electric and ISOs such as Masterplan or Aramark, et cetera. And we're really focused right now on building solutions for service organizations. And we're here to make the service team successful, and we're super excited to tell you more about that. But first, let's talk about with another trivia question. What do the Beatles and CAT scan technology have in common? I bet you this audience knows the answer to this one pretty well. And in 1972, the first commercial CT scanner was produced by this company called EMI, Electric and Music Industries. It had nothing to do with Siemens, Philips, or General Electric, from the UK. They installed it in Wimbledon, England, and 10 years earlier, that company signed the Beatles' first record deal. and literally using the profits from the Beatles deal to develop a technology that they wanted to benefit mankind. So very interesting, and thank you to the Beatles for helping to launch an entire industry. And Linda gave a little bit of an introduction about PartsSource. We won't belabor that, but PartsSource exists. We've been around for 20 plus years. We partner with leading healthcare organizations, and really the objective is to maximize medical equipment uptime and utilization. We were founded in 2001, and in the early years, we were primarily known as the place to go to find like hard to find parts on equipment that needed service. And that might be how you're using PartsSource today if you're familiar with PartsSource. We handle over 500,000 transactions a year. And in terms of requests, we even get more requests for transactions than that. And as Linda said, we are the one-to-many suppliers. We touch over 6,000 suppliers, and that number continues to grow. And we are the partner to both the OEMs and to the aftermarket non-OEM organizations. So we're thrilled about the ability to help drive solutions in this space. As you can see by the growth in the bar graph, we're honored to be trusted by the top healthcare providers. Some of those are listed below. So let's dig into the topic. Let's talk about the imaging trends and challenges, and then we'll pivot over to, well, what's being done about it? What can we do? And maybe how can organizations like PartsSource enhance the work that you're all doing? So we'll start with a little bit of understanding of we're seeing real trends in a lot of different categories. Cost pressures are enormous, and look, that's driven by the 1% median hospital operating margin. That's all health networks across the USA. So it's obvious that the operating margins in healthcare for a long time has been razor thin and continues to be challenged. The equipment is aging, and we'll show you a chart on that here on the next slide. Statistically, we'll show you what that looks like. But about 10% of the assets that are typically installed are past its useful life guidelines. Doesn't mean it's not clinically applicable, but it's past the guidelines. Staffing shortages, how can we talk about headwinds and not talk about staffing shortages? The fact is that 40% of the active BMETs are 55 years and older, and 22% are 60 years and older. So quite a lot of experience in that body, very important level of experience, but one that we have to keep our eye on because obviously we're going to be seeing the retirements over the next 10 years. We'll show you what that looks like too on the next slide. We'll go into downtime. Downtime has an incredibly high cost. I think this audience knows that really well. Probably could give an entire presentation on that. We'll touch on that a little bit more. But with the average revenue loss of about $1,000 an hour, depending on the modality, downtime is obviously very significant. And finally, we're a regulated business, once we all know, and there continues to be increased regulatory compliance requirements and pressures both to providers and to organizations that help the providers. So as promised, let's talk about that staffing piece. And we'll take a look at the chart on the left first. Now, those blue bars, they represent the medical equipment repair staff that is out there in the USA today. These statistics come from the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and today is about 64,000, just a little over 64,000 medical equipment repair professionals. And that number is expected to decrease over the next 10 years to below 58,000 people. Now, sadly, that's what the prediction is, because in conjunction with that prediction, the demand for people in this role over the same period of time increases 13% per the BLS, obviously widening that gap. Those orange bar on the left-hand chart, well, that represents all of the other occupations and the workforce that's available to all other occupations. So the retiree impact and the limited new applicants into the workforce in general, but significantly exacerbated into the imaging service field, is really evident. And that is a solution that I think a lot of companies have put their eye on, and one that we're excited to tell you about as well. Now, on the right-hand side is the average age of the big equipment. This equipment that we have listed here is the CT PETs, MR, and linear accelerators. And so in 2019, the average age was a little over 11 years. Amazing, really, right? And look, COVID certainly extended the life of that, and that it required equipment to be installed and maintained a whole lot longer. In 2022, the trend has really continued to increase. Now, if we're looking at, let's say, X-ray equipment, these numbers would be even larger because the technology in X-ray isn't changing as rapidly, of course, and the X-ray equipment isn't prioritized over the higher changing, faster technology changes with CT, MR, PET, and linear accelerator. So these actually are the ones that are getting a lot of the capital dollars, and maybe that rings true in your health system. This is how it looks nationwide. So let's talk about uptime. Why is uptime important? And once again, looking at the graph on the right-hand side, let's just talk about CT. Look, it's pretty obvious that with a 1% operating margin, downtime directly impacts the bottom line. If you model that out on, say, that CT on the left-hand side, say you have a CT with no redundancy, a 2% downtime represents approximately $600,000 of a revenue impact. If hypothetically that were to go to 5% downtime, that would be a $1.5 million impact. But let's just say we don't get to the 5% downtime. That's enormous, right? And we just experienced that 2% downtime. That equates to $60 million of operating revenue at 1% to make up for the downtime on that CT scanner. And if you then shift our eyes to the right, how does that look in total for an annual impact? The annual impact of a smaller health system, it's about $13 million in this case. That is the real impact. And again, at 1% margins, that number can be extrapolated and understood very quickly. But then really looking at the bigger health systems and the biggest health networks, a $50 million total impact to downtime is realistic and can happen. So that means that the focus on uptime has never been greater, and there's never been a lack of focus on uptime, but the need for it is even greater now than it had been in the past. So how do people address this? What are we seeing out there? What are they doing about that? And this chart's a little busy, kind of colorful. I wanted to spend a minute digging into what it's telling us. So really in response to that uptime requirement, two common behaviors emerge. This is one of those behaviors. There was a market survey sent out earlier this year, and the market survey was sent out to in-house and ISO service leadership. And the question was asked at the bottom of the screen, on average, what shipping window do you typically require? And from the bottom up, the dark green up to the yellow and red tells us if the request was either next flight out, priority overnight, standard overnight, etc. And then we asked it for each of the modalities across both providers who do this on their own and independent service companies who do this as well. Amazingly, the numbers are very similar between those two groups. But you can see there is a slight increase in the CT, PET, and the MR segment. Kind of correlates back to the slide previously. That this is one of the methods that the market uses to handle the uptime requirement, and that's extremely rapid shipment and the requirement for faster shipping. Statistically, about 70% of orders across all of the modalities require overnight shipping. I thought the nuke med numbers were relatively high in the way that the market responded. But in average, it's still about 70%. Nuke med obviously included in that. And that adds up. That adds up quickly. That's a real cost that's either being paid through a service contract monthly fee or a time and material service event or out of a operating budget that a hospital is working in. So once again, a significant way that people are addressing that uptime is fast overnight shipment on about 70% of the orders. But there's another way. And the second way is really the behavior to choose OEM contracts, which is an option, and it's a smart option in a lot of cases. It really addresses the uptime question in some cases, but it also addresses the shrinking labor pool question. And so this is really perceived as the safe bet, and truly it is. But over-reliance on this solution can contribute to higher costs. And ultimately, a aggregated reliance on this solution creates inefficiencies where multiple OEMs or multiple vendors lead to inefficient or inconsistent workflows within departments and within organizations, and even amongst equipment in the same room. So many healthcare organizations really do still choose this, and it's an option that will always be smart in some cases. But part of that is being driven by the fact that healthcare organizations would maybe like to do more of the work themselves, but they don't have the staff to take on more. Maybe they have a staff, and the staff is just fully occupied, and they can't take on more. Or maybe they're looking to build a staff and are just getting started to see what they can do to improve cost and improve quality and improve uptime. But this approach does work, and it is addressing a couple of the key challenges that are out there today. So let's talk about some new approaches that can be used in this organization and in the world that we all operate in. We want to really run through some of the most impactful changes that we see, and some of the places where PartsSource gets so many questions and is asked for assistance in so many areas. We'll talk about what that means in terms of an approach that should be taken, and one that PartsSource is helping out in the marketplace. And that's really captured here. It's imaging professionals are looking for a new approach. Imaging professionals are looking for a comprehensive partner. And that is our mission. Our mission is to be the comprehensive partner to equip every imaging professional for success. For us, we're agnostic. We're not looking for one organization or another to trump and be successful. We're looking to raise the level of capability of every professional, no matter where that professional is at. We really are doing that through lower cost, and that's demonstrating really a lot of bottom line savings. That comprehensive approach, which lots of organizations are finding advantages in covering an entire fleet of imaging assets and handling all of the situations and all of the various different capabilities. Naturally, has to be reliable and trusted. PartsSource has been around for decades now and provides a lot of support and timely access. And we'll talk about some of the investment that's been made in the past 12 months to really booster that. And enable the self-performing organization, the in-house organization, the imaging service organization. So those are all organizations that is an absolute focus and catalyst for bringing more imaging support into your organization, whatever that organization for you looks like. So as Linda mentioned, one of the products that PartsSource has had for a long time is PartsSource Pro. And PartsSource Pro is a biomedical solution that allows us to be the connective tissue between a customer's needs and the ability to fulfill those needs, whether that be the parts requirements, depot repair requirements, service backup labor, things along those lines. PartsSource Pro was built to do this, and it's been in place for a long time. But building it for imaging has now been done as well, and that's new. We've built now a new source and a new capability in a company that's been doing this for 20 years. Transparently, we kind of look at the imaging business as having been somewhat of a tag-along business with the biomedical world, and now it's its day. Now it's important to really put some focus on it, and that's part of what I'm happy to be here to do. How do we do that? We focus again on 4 major areas that are cornerstones for the company in itself. Number one, it's transparent pricing. This is also true with any PartsSource Pro program. The pricing is transparent, but importantly for imaging, it's been revamped and it's producing a new level of savings. In addition to that, the purchasing of the needed necessary components that are required also can provide discounted training. That's now part of the offering itself. Mission critical parts is key. We counted up the suppliers. We have 6,000 to 10,000 suppliers overall. We have 300 plus suppliers for imaging. Wow, is that just a small slice of the pie, right? But when you think about it, 300 plus suppliers for imaging is an enormous number. We touch all the supplier base. We have 250,000 imaging SKUs in our catalog, and it's there you could go to PartsSource.com and take a look at any of that. What's new is that we have 60,000 SKUs with instant quoting, instant access in stock. That's new. The evolution, it's been really great to see at PartsSource, has been to significantly invest in inventory. And while most of the 250,000 items are coming from the entire market, and that's the service we provide, is let us do that work for you. We'll bring you back the best options, and we'll quality rank them as well. 60,000 of them we already have in stock. So that really was designed, and the investment's been made to support the uptime requirement. We have an entirely new customer focus. We have a dedicated team that promotes and deals with this operation and focuses on this element of the business. And in that, they're measured on speed. They're measured on how quickly we can take care of your needs. When you or someone in your organization has a need, they simply reach out to us either via the web or the phone. And if we can't instantly quote you, we'll make sure that we're in touch in 10 minutes and have options to you in 30 minutes. So you can literally walk out of the cath lab with the information on what your next step is, when your part is going to arrive, have everything you need to know walking out of an initial investigation or service call. And we do this 24/7. We work the same hours that you do. And in doing so, we're live 24/7. It's a real person who will take care of you, no matter if it's via the web or on the phone. A live person will answer the phone, and we've invested in staff to do that. And then maybe this last part, training and support, is my favorite. It's great to have maybe a machine that can help provide to an industry the things that they need, but we need a healthy industry. And it's really an important mission of ours to bring the industry along further and higher in its technology, and its capability, and in backfilling some of those vacancies that are happening due to the age of our folks. And so we've got a lot of industry leading training courses, and that's through our linking forces with RSTI. We provide on-site labor backup, and we even do services such as like monitor magnet systems. So it's an entire new approach that has a significant amount of investment in it. So what does it do for you? What good did that do? So we implemented this at a couple different organizations, and then we sent our data team, of which we have rich data resources, to go pull out the savings that have been occurred from an efficiency standpoint. And Our tech-enabled platform has helped both the regional healthcare team. We optimize their workflow and the amount of time that they would spend on acquiring the parts they need. It used to be 70 minutes, it's now 15 minutes. Same with the larger groups. They were spending more time. They usually have a central sourcing organization, and that they would actually spend more time looking for the right part solution. It's down to 17 minutes. And the large national ISOs, even the national ISOs find it to be useful to partner up with us so that, once again, we can get their organization focused on the critical things that is important to them, and they went from 70 minutes to 20. The idea, of course, is time savings is money to the bottom line. Time savings is uptime to the ultimate end user and to the patient. So this is one of the reasons why we did it, and these are some of the results that have been achieved so far. But having a meaningful operation and driving efficiency is only a part of it. The second part of it is it's important to have a team, no matter if that team is part of an ISO team, part of an in-house team, that has the skills and knowledge to perform to address the problems and to perform the service that's required in your facility. And in understanding that as an objective, last year, PartsSource joined forces with RSTI. RSTI is a relatively known entity. We looked at all of the customers that send people to RSTI, and it covers almost every health entity out there, but not everyone has been there, and we want to make sure that it's accessible to all and bolt it into the solution for the overall bigger picture. But they've been training your existing teams for years. That organization's almost 40 years old now. They run 87 makes and models that are in your facilities, and they do 133 classes a year. 133 classes a year. That might be a note you want to take right there for one of the questions later on. So it's a significant number of classes. The great thing about it is, looking at the right side of the page, is we've just increased the depth and modernized our courses at RSTI. We've significantly invested in some of the newest and latest technology. And we used a data-driven approach to do this. At the end of every class, we asked the attendees, what is the next thing you need to be trained? What is the greatest requirement you have for training? And we've been gathering that information for a year and a half. We had thousands of data points, and we use that to determine where should we invest to help out the community. And a couple of the great products that are out there are the Philips Radius C-arm, the G Pristina mammography machine, and the GEIGS cath lab. And in this case, it's with the large displays. Also sticking with the cath labs is the Philips Azurion. Most importantly, it's the 8.2 software version. That is the latest and greatest software version that's out there. Siemens CT and the Definition CT, and then of course OEC continues to iterate its product line in a fantastic way. So the Elite product line, and then some Philips and Hologic equipment as well. So we've really invested in modernizing the course. The QR code on the page there is an active QR code. If you want to take a look at the course catalog in detail, that QR code is available for you. But it's also important for us that we help you expand your team. And RSTI has been working at that for a long time, just quietly behind the scenes, building and achieving a registered apprenticeship program, which is useful for us to take students that are technical students, and it could be people who even are looking for career path changes. Interestingly enough, we see a lot of like HVAC people who've got great troubleshooting skills and they have the electronics background, and we bring them into things like our registered apprenticeship program and build people for our clients. And then maybe the most exciting thing as our last bullet here is after a It was a year-long process. It sure seemed like a lot more than a year-long process. RSTI now is an improved skill bridge. We have an approved skill bridge program, and skill bridge is the program that connects returning service members to their next career, to their career itself. It's career development. It's not just technical training, it's literally career development, moving out of the military into the diagnostic imaging service world. We're really excited to get this launched, and we're going to be building people coming out of this program very quickly. So that addresses somewhat of the need for skill and additional people in this community and in this workforce that is declining. To go into that a little further, though, it's great to have the workforce and it's great to have the knowledge, but there's some real things that the organizations need to know. There's some real challenges that are popping up. This is the one that we hear more than anything, and that is enabling service on the equipment. The problem that exists is that while organizations have access to their equipment, they sometimes don't. They sometimes need help in understanding how to use the software tools to do the service, or in some cases even just understand the tool accessibility itself. And so the FDA is on our side on this one, you might say. The FDA through 21 CFR has published requirements that's very simple. It's good for us as human beings, and it basically says if you make ionizing radiation equipment, you need to make available the software to do the basic work to assemble, install, adjust, and test the equipment. AIAT, assemble, install, adjust, and test. And so basically what the OEMs have done, and they participate in this fully. They have built software that meets that compliance requirement. The software is it's not free, but the software is only charged to have a reasonable reproduction cost. And the manufacturers really across the board, across the spectrum, they provide instructions that are adequate to assure compliance of the equipment to their design specifications. And we all know why. It's so that the equipment can be operated safely for patients. So all of the information, quote unquote, all the information necessary to ensure the products will comply with the applicable performance standards when assembled, installed, adjusted, and tested. That's what the requirement says. It includes instructions, manuals, software, and service keys. Now to dig into that just a little bit more and to demonstrate how the big three in this case, I'd put the big three on the slide. The big three make this software accessible to everyone. It's sometimes hard to figure out, and that's why we share this information, but GE, Philips, Siemens all have a way that if someone is in the need for service software, there is a way for you to acquire that from each one of these OEMs, and using this as a demonstration. So GE has online access. It's called a Common Documentation Library. They provide, and their method is providing PDF documentation, which is downloadable. You don't have to register for anything. You just get the information. It's out there and available. OEC, if you grab the little OEC component of GE, they have something called the GSAC USB key. Once again, it's a process that's used to get a USB drive is really what this looks like. Get a USB drive that gives access to the ability to do the assemble, install, adjusting, and testing of, say, an OEC arm. It is system ID specific. Now, Philips, they once again put their information online. It's a access they call in-center, and so it's available. It's available at any time. Registration is required to use it, and what happens is they provide access once again, PDF documentation, and then service software can be downloaded. The one area about Philips is it's really good to get all that work done ahead of the need for service. It takes a little time. So it's available. Philips puts it out there. It's just that it needs to be done before you have a down system. Siemens actually is relatively instantaneous. Siemens, anyone can just contact the Siemens Uptime Center by phone, just their standard Uptime Center, provide to Siemens the FL number, their functional location number, and they'll give the code to the service key to perform right then and there. It's live. And in the case of like the most advanced key, it enables the software capability for up to 2 weeks. And then if it's needed again, another call is made to Siemens. So once again, there's a lot of ways to do it, but it's not well known. And this is one of the areas where we consistently provide training. And one of the things that we did as well with that training is you see that big QR code there. We provided an on-demand webinar, which that QR code will take you to, which also addresses some of the common service myths and reality of understanding this topic. So that's also available as a resource separately, should you need it. So there's people to take care of equipment. There's tools to make them work available. There's a process that allows for parts to be acquired and not spend all day doing it. But now you need quality. You need quality parts. And what we're depicting here is really just, we use an algorithm that produces evidence-based quality with the parts we supply to the market. And this really just drives everything we've talked about so far. We look at the key metrics shown, which is using quantitative data, qualitative data to feed into our quality engine. That quality engine is applied to thousands of suppliers when a request is needed. Best choices are made, and then 99.5% of the time, the quality is the ultimate final quality acceptance rate of the offering that we made. The graph on the lower left shows the continuum that we have with continuing to drive more and more improved quality. And we audit our suppliers. We audit them, and we're really there to help make them better. I should know, I was a supplier of PartsSource before my career here at PartsSource, and PartsSource came in and helped our organization just build quality programs, build ability to track and improve, and they would come through and check on us every year to see how our progress is coming. And when a company invests in the market like that, we get an outcome like these trends on the lower left-hand side. So we really put a focus on this quality piece. It is an enterprise compliance requirement for our suppliers, and it integrates directly into the software behind the scenes. And lastly, we wanted to share with you a little bit more about some of the additional ways we're linking the need for high-value replacement parts with the ability to earn training. A lot of our pro customers who have contracts with PartsSource, but even if customers don't, we now have built a way to earn training credits just by simply procuring the components you need from PartsSource. And it's really simple. We call it our PartsSource Summer Imaging Rewards Program. It's a program that we started on June 1st. We're running it through August 31st. And the way it works is a part is needed on your side. You might buy an imaging part, and some of them are not very expensive, but if it's an expensive part, 10K and above for the unit price of the part, purchasing that through PartsSource lets you earn training credits when $50,000 is accumulated across 1, 2, or however many parts is needed to get to a $50,000 mark. You're allowed to shop all OEMs, all modalities, all conditions. We are a fantastic supplier of OEM original components. And naturally, we tie into the entire OEM aftermarket as well. And you get to earn RSTI training credits. We simply say, look, we're going to run the program through August 31st, receive the part by September 30th, and once again, it's on any part that's purchased. The idea of this is really simple. is that clients need to have high quality, efficiently acquired imaging replacement parts. Do that with an organization that's entirely revamped its process, entirely revamped its competitive position, and now gives you credits to earn over your purchases. And I think I left out, so include that for every 10,000 in purchase, for every 50,000 in purchase, the amount of credit that you get for an RSTI tuition course is $2,000. So buy with confidence with the processes we talk about, save money in this case, and now you can earn rewards. So we're running that program now, and it's really received a lot of traction so far. Okay, with that, we've run through all of the prepared documentation. Let's go ahead and open it up to the floor to answer any questions that you all have or to clarify anything that's been talked about. Before we do that, our contact information is on this page. Our 877 number can be used by anyone if it's needed for either a biomedical part or imaging part. Just select the imaging options as the phone tree allows you to narrow down to get to the proper team. And if you prefer email, our email contact is imigingsales@partsource.com. So with PartsSource, buy with confidence, save money, earn rewards. Let's go ahead and open it up for questions, Linda.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I've got a few that come in. The first one is, somebody said, thanks so much for sharing this. It's interesting to hear about diagnostic imaging trends from PartsSource, since you've typically been a biomedical products focused company. So what's changed?
Well, that's a great question. Let me tell you what's changed at PartsSource is the focus on diagnostic imaging. We finally leveraged the fact that PartsSource is a good biomedical equipment and parts company, but the focus is now, and the investment is in diagnostic imaging to provide a new level of solution to the diagnostic imaging community specifically. And what you'll see out there is the investment in inventory, as was mentioned earlier, and the investment in partners such as RSTI. A year ago, RSTI wasn't connected to PartsSource. It's strategically connected to PartsSource now, specifically because there needed to be a more complete solution. So we've been working at this for almost 2 years now, and what the world is seeing is PartsSource as a strong imaging option that had never existed before.
Perfect. Sounds good. So another question that's come in. So how do I tap into the talent being produced by the SkillBridge program?
Well, I love that question. We are so excited to produce this SkillBridge talent. It's just really a passion of ours. And our team at RSTI could not be more excited. They've been working at this for over a year. So the way to tap into that talent is to be in touch with RSTI. Use the RSTI website and use the main contact number there. We have a person who is in charge of the SkillBridge program. Her name is Anna Morrison. Maybe a lot of you know her. She's been at RSTI, I think, for 38 years. She's our registrar. She is the one who, as part of her kind of final career moves that she's doing, is helping to make this happen. Be in touch with her, and then what we're doing is we're collecting the demand for the people so that we can understand exactly how much is needed, when they might be needed, and to whom they might be needed. The more options that we have available to these veterans coming into our program, to your all's network, the more attractive it is for them. And for us, we're really just looking to find a way to put a good home for these people, and there'll be a lot of good homes produced, I think, with your input.
Great, and I've actually got a question about RSTI. Where do I learn more about the training offered at RSTI?
Yeah. Tell you what, when this becomes available, the QR code is out there, but rsti.com is will have everything that you need. You'll just go to the courses tab, if you just want to talk to the RSTI people, they'll walk you through anything that's needed. So if it's just simple, let's just see what's available, I would suggest the website. But if you're really looking to get some help building an evolutionary plan, how do I develop my organization from where it is today to some vision, this desired state? The team at RSTI has been doing that for years. They love to do that, and they'll help you make that happen.
Super, thank you for that. Got a question about the summer imaging parts promotion. Somebody's asking, does it include ultrasound parts and probes?
Okay, yes, it does. It includes any part and any probe that's $10,000 unit price and over. And so, yeah, there's a lot of probes that would fall into this category. We actually do see a lot of people choosing to procure their probes this way, because the training credits are attached to the purchases that come through. So yes, it's any manufacturer, any condition, meaning it can be a new one from the OEM, or it can be a refurbished one or a tested one. They're all available, and it's all modalities. So absolutely ultrasounds included.
Great. Now I've got a fairly long question here, so please bear with me. It's related to the overnight shipping comments. In 2021, a major OEM charged a premium for parts stored in regional warehouses. If I needed something overnighted, i.e. a CT tube, I had to pay a premium to get the part from the regional warehouse versus from the US Central Supply Center. How do you address this situation?
Yeah, you're right. I remember that, where the OEMs were setting up regional warehouses, and the privilege to pull a part out of the warehouse quickly required a premium to be paid. I actually think those regional warehouses have largely disappeared, and that's because I don't think that was a very popular option. So the OEMs themselves are largely are pitching and sending from the depots that they have throughout the USA. But our approach is a little more comprehensive than that. We can help a customer with an analysis that asks the question, what are the most critical components that you ought to store locally to keep your equipment up, make your equipment available, and honestly, make your in-house imaging organizations or your ISO imaging organization just look like absolute heroes. What replacement parts are needed to be kept locally? Locally could be in the biomedical shop. It could be in a central warehouse location. It could be like a UPS or FedEx Whole Depot. Not quite as efficient, we feel like, when we do it that way. PartsSource has built an option with smart lockers, and we've implemented the smart locker technology to hold mission critical inventory at the point of use for what is needed to keep equipment up and going. We put enormous parts in the smart lockers. Not only are they lockers that you would maybe see like an Amazon style locker, where we put small things like probes and repair coils and things like that inside locker doors. We have electronically controlled cages, and we supply CT tubes from that. We supply flat panel detectors out of that, things that literally physically don't fit into a locker. We supply out of the cages. We had one customer who, interestingly enough, one of their pieces of mission critical equipment was their fleet of portable X-ray machines. Never would have thought that to be the case. But their fleet is so critical to the operation of their hospitals, they requested that we keep the batteries for portable X-ray machines in stock in a cage. And we do that. And the reason we do that is because they were spending more to overnight freight the heavy batteries to their repair need than the batteries themselves would cost. By the way, by a factor of four times more for freight than the cost of the product they're shipping. And so for them, they're experiencing a massive cost savings, but more importantly, their uptime on a mission critical set of equipment has dramatically improved, and it's unbelievable the success stories that are coming out of this effort. So PartsSource has taken a different investment approach. Now we can kind of thank Bain Capital for the ability to do some of this. Bain Capital is the organization that owns PartsSource. They're letting us use their resources to drive solutions like this for the medical healthcare community.
Great, thanks so much, Francis. Now, before we wrap up, is there any, or do you have any top tips, or do you want to give a quick summary?
Yeah, absolutely. We once again, thank you all for coming and listening, and we hope that we're able to provide some statistical data to what is a lot of anecdotal kind of industry talk or gossip. There's a lot of significant problems that we all face together. PartsSource has built an entity that locks arms with the community out there and with the healthcare providers for patient care. We're excited about the investments that have been made, are super excited about the continued investments in both people, processes, and technology to help you all succeed in your world. So again, thank you all for joining and coming today, and we wish you a great rest of the day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Francis, for your time today and for really thoughtful presentation. Thanks so much. We'd also like to thank, obviously, our sponsor, PartsSource. So please visit partsource.com for more information. As promised, the answer to today's trivia question is Washington State. So congratulations to our winner, Teresa Underdo. And a quick reminder, you can obtain your CE certificate by completing the post-webinar survey, which will be emailed 1 hour after the completion of today's webinar. You must complete the survey to receive your 1 Art Category A CE credit by the HRA, and you'll be able to download the certificate directly from your computer once the survey is submitted. Now, if you have any questions, you can reach us at webinar@mdpublishing.com. Please visit icewebinars.live for more details of all our upcoming ICE webinars and complimentary registration. If you've missed any of our past ICE webinars, please visit icewebinars.live to view the whole archive webinar. Thank you for your time again today, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.